So when I hear that riff and I hear that guitar sound, that gets me pumped up. That is the Rush that I love, and that is the guitar playing of the man that is about to join us. The one and only Alex Lifeson is live with us on Trunk Nation. Alex, how are you?
I'm good, Eddie. How are you? Nice to speak to you again.
Yeah, it's been a bit. It's been too long. How's everything going? Everything's good. You enjoying in coming off the holidays and everything? You had some good time with the family and all that?
Yeah, for sure. It was a very busy holiday season this year. You know, I was in London for a few days with Geddy on his book tour. So, that was kind of a little bit of chaos there, but the holidays were great, and I got to spend it with my family. We, my background is Serbian. My parents were Serbian, and so we celebrate on the 7th of January as well as just a family get together. So we had about 30 people on Sunday, and that was really a lot of fun, actually.
Wow, that's awesome. Mentioning, I thought that was so cool because, of course, I saw the YouTube clips come out and everything of you there with Geddy in, I guess it was in London, as he's been really out there with his book. I have not had a chance to read it yet. I'm actually going to start it this weekend. But was that something that was planned, or did you guys just both happen to be there at the same time?
Well, the Toronto show for sure, he wanted me to do that one, and it made sense. It's hometown and everything, but he asked me to come to London to do the Portsmouth show and then the London show as well. He asked me a while ago about that. I guess a couple of months ago, if I'd be up for coming over and doing that. So, of course, he's my best friend. I would feel more than happy to help him out. So, just popped over there for a few days and right back.
Have you read the book, Alex?
Yeah, actually, Ged sent me a copy of the first edited version. I think he went through 3 edits altogether, but he sent me that version. So it was a little longer than what the book is. And he wanted me to just corroborate some of his memories, as well as just make sure I was okay with, him talking about our relationship the way he did. And of course I was. I read it. I'm not a particularly fast reader, but I read that over a weekend. And I got to say, I laughed out loud so many times. I cried. I was so mesmerized. It was such a great read. And it really is a beautiful read. The flow, he had Daniel Richler as his ghostwriter, and Daniel is a writer himself, and so it has a really beautiful flow to it. And it's very easy to read, and it's the kind of book you can't put down.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into it. The reason why I asked you if you read it is because I can't tell you how many times I've interviewed somebody in a band about the book, and then some of the other members of that band, and I will ask them, did you read such and such's book? And they will always say no, because they're worried that it's going to cause a rift with them, or there's going to be something in it that they didn't like. But it doesn't surprise me, knowing both you and Geddy, that Geddy was, and the relationship you have, that Geddy first, had you take a look at it before it came out, so you weren't blindsided by anything. So I'm sure you felt comfortable reading it, knowing that. Well, yeah, absolutely. And there was going to be nothing in the book that I would have an issue with, and it's his story. I think the main concern for him was the clarity of his memories, and he wanted to just make sure that he was getting some stories right. And there were a few things that weren't quite, well, I shouldn't say accurate, my point of view, but my memory of those few events were slightly different, and then he kind of remembered. So I think that was the key thing that he was looking for. Listen, doing these shows with him, it was a no-brainer, because basically I just sat on the stage with him doing the stuff that we've been doing for 50 years in the back of a car or in an airplane or in a bus. I mean, we're best of friends. And so it was just getting up and riffing and laughing and goofing around, just like we always have. Yeah, and I think fans, and I can speak for myself too, being a fan, love seeing you two guys together. You know, whether it's when you played at the Taylor Hawkins event or just this book stuff and anything you might post on social media together. I mean, you know, people love it because it is so genuine and there is such an incredible history there. And you know, we all know that so many of the bands we grew up loving, unfortunately, the members drift apart and they're really not friends. But it's so genuine with you two that I think that it really resonates with the fans in a big way. And you must pick up on a lot of that too. That the fans just absolutely love seeing the two of you guys, you know, together, happy, healthy, having fun, doing creative things, and also carrying on the legacy of the band that they love so much. So that's got to feel good to see all that reaction that's come from when you guys do get together.
Yeah, definitely. And this was really a great example of it. I mean, the audience in Toronto, it was like just being in a room with a bunch of friends. And I think that's the way they felt. You know, a lot of people didn't feel they had closure after we finished the last tour. And I think this is a way of giving them a little bit, you know, to see that everything's okay and we're still friends and together and doing stuff together and having the same kind of wonderful experiences that we've always had.
I want to talk about your amps, which I know is what you're calling in to talk about. But one last thing on books. Did this inspire or get you thinking at all about maybe wanting to write your own autobiography?
Oh, are you kidding? No way. I saw what he went through. This was a lot of work for him, and it drove him crazy. I mean, I think he's relieved that he's done it all. It's kind of, you know, came to an end with this book tour, and he's 10 times happier and more fun to be with now than he has been in the last little while. But you know, I'm not really. I mean, he felt he had a need to, you know, to talk about a lot of things in his life, being, you know, a child of Holocaust survivors, that whole part of his history, and I don't feel a need to do something like that. If I was to do a book, it would be very short, and it would just be funny stuff. So maybe I should.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, I often talk to my good friend Ace Frehley, and he cackles every time he thinks about you guys, and he says you are a super funny guy. So, you know, you might have a book of just jokes or anecdotes like that I think people would love.
Yeah, you know what? That's something to think about. Actually, that would be kind of fun. It would be fun to put together, too. Maybe
yeah,
I will.
For sure. Yeah, people would love that. All right, so let's talk about now in full disclosure, I am not you know, I love guitar playing and it's my favorite instrument to hear and all of that, but I am not a guitarist, and so some of the super technical aspects of gear would certainly elude me and some of my listeners, although I'm sure there's plenty of my audience that play and have a real interest in this. But you have you've really put a lot into coming out with your own line of amps and gear. Tell me I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Lurks? Am I saying it right?
That's perfect.
Okay, so Lurks amplifiers, and you partnered with Mojo Tone, and you've created this new line of gear. So I know obviously you've been playing guitar forever, and I'm sure like every guitar player I've ever talked to, the finding the perfect tone, finding the perfect equipment is always the ultimate quest. So tell us about this line that you've put out and the journey it took you to get here with it. Okay, so I've had a relationship with Mojo Tones, I think it's for 14 or 15 years now. They're a company in North Carolina, and, you know, they're fabricators. So they build pickups, they build guitar parts, amplifiers, all kinds of things. And Geddy's Tech was dealing with them for some pickups and some accessories. And I mentioned to him that, you know, I'd love to get an amp built to the specs that I'd like. And so I approached them. They said, you know, we can build anything
you want. You just tell us what that platform is, and then we'll go from there. So I'd used a Marshall Silver Jubilee in the studio for Clockwork Angels, and I really liked the amp a lot. I used it on a lot of stuff. You know, in the studio, I take all my stuff, and then we rent just tons and tons of gear. So there's plenty there to mess around with. So I spoke to them about using that as a platform and just tweaking some of the things that I'd like done to it. The top end, I wanted it a little smoother. The upper mids, I wanted that a little, rounder, a little softer. So they went ahead and built it, and it has all the things that I look for in tonality in an amplifier and response. You know, I'm sort of in a good, lucky position. I've been doing it for so long. I know lots of gear. So to come up with something that's sort of the ultimate for me was really a fun endeavor. They built the amps. I've used them ever since. Just recently, we kind of revamped them, mostly cosmetic. I mean, the guts are all the same, but cosmetically, the look is a little different, a little sleeker, and just different colors. So that's, and the idea of selling them, making them available was just a natural next step. And then from there, we went into some effects units, and we're sort of developing that. We have the Bitor pedal that's come out and strong, and we have some other ideas bubbling under. So it's been a lot of fun sort of developing this whole Lurks brand. And there's still lots more stuff to do, and I feel really, really good about it. The amp sounds really, really great, and that's the important thing for me.
Yeah, I'm looking at the photo of it, and I have a photo of you with them standing there, and it's funny because in the press release for this, it does say that even if you don't play, they look so cool, you're still going to want one. And I was like, yeah, I could see that, because it's really, the cabinets and stuff, it looks really cool. Like, it look so cool, it might even inspire me to try to learn how to play, which I'd love to do one of these days. But they're definitely cool looking. Now, in this line, there's something called the Omega, which is your actual signature amp, correct?
Correct. So the Omega is a 50-watt amp. It has that sort of British tone to it, that Marshall's had, and it has that flavor. And then the Kai, that came out after, and that's just a smaller amp. That's 30 watts, different tubes. It has a slightly different response. It also comes in a combo version with one 12-inch speaker. So that's the amp currently that I have here at home, and any kind of sort of sessions or gigs that I do locally, I take that one with me. And then in my studio here in my apartment, I've got a couple of the Lurks amps, and I have a Lurks cabinet, and I use it as my main go-to for any recording that I'm doing.
And for people that want to learn more about this, I know the website is lurksamps.com. That's LERXSTAMPS.com. That's where you can learn more. But for people listening, Alex, that are guitar players and they'd love to plug into one of these, try it out, possibly buy it, can they just go to any of their music stores wherever they're listening, and are they pretty readily available?
Not yet, because it's a boutique amp, so there's not a lot of stock. We've had a very successful beginning. We sold a lot of units online, so that's a wonderful compliment, because that's not going to a music store and plugging it in and having a listen. I think some people want to get the amp on spec. They just, I guess they trust me that the amp will sound good. I think the best way to get more information is to go to the website and see what's there, and you can definitely order. Eventually, I'm hoping that once enough orders go out once enough units go out to the retailers, that there will be a better opportunity to try them out live.
In coming up with your own line like this, you mentioned Marshall a couple times. You've been playing forever. Did you kind of call on all your experiences with all the different amps and heads you've used over the decades of touring and recording to kind of hone in on this? Did everything you've done in your career kind of provide a bit of a blueprint, or were you trying to throw all that out and say, no, let's just start completely fresh?
I think my experience informs me as to what I want to hear at the end. I think specifically the Marshall Silver Jubilee that was released in the 80s for a very short period was a really good starting platform for me, because it really emulated all the other Marshalls that I've had over the years. But that one in particular had something that I heard that I really liked. So as a starting point, that's kind of the sound that I was looking for, more of that, the classic British rock sound. So that was a really great launching point, but it has all those characteristics, I think, that I've come to know over the years, whether it was Marshall or High Watt or Orange or Hughes and Kettner. I've learned what I've liked about all those amps and what I didn't like, and that's really what we tried to do with the Lurks, to make it the thing that I would like completely.
I got to tell you, as just a fan of guitar playing and rock music, I'm just happy that you are putting amps out and making amps, because something that came to my attention from friends who are musicians that's been a thing in the last few years, which I'm sure you're well aware of, maybe you've even used it, is that guitar players not actually using amps and plugging into these little boxes, whether it's this device, I think one is called a fractal or whatever, where you don't even actually, you just dial in your sounds. And I got to tell you and I don't play again. So I don't know. I just talk from my ears as a fan out in the crowd. I hate when people play those things, Alex, because it feels different. It doesn't move air. It's sterile sounding. I went to see a actual tribute band recently, and my friend who's a guitar player in Vegas, he's like, you got to hear these guys. They're amazing. And then we went and watched them. And I looked at him, I go, it sounds like shit. It's just so sterile and there's no feel to it. And he's like, looks, and he knew, and he's like, oh, they switched to those, whatever they're called. I know a name brand of one of them is Fractal, these direct little devices. And he goes, they're not actually playing through amps anymore. I'm like, what? So I'm just glad that actual amps exist. And I don't know where you land on those other devices, but that seems to become a trend. And I guess for some people, it's very easy to just dial in their sounds like that. But to me, it loses all the feel in the room.
Well, I've been a Fractal user for years, but I just use it for effects. And they make great gear, but I don't use that amp modeling feature that's on them. I would say my experience is this. It's convenient to use those plugins and those, small modeling units. But when you're recording, they sound like you've pasted that sound on your monitor screen. As soon as you turn an amp on with a cabinet and a mic in front of it, suddenly you hear all this depth. You hear all the air. It is just such a big difference. I never use, even for convenience sake, I never use plugins anymore. I'm really old school when it comes to this sort of thing, and I get it. It's, like I said, it's convenient. Not a lot of gear you're lugging around, but a guitar with a cable into an amp, you can't beat it. That's the ultimate for that kind of sound.